All right, Mario Cristobal is here, coach of the number two team in the country right now, the Miami Hurricanes. What's going on, buddy?
On the grind, man. Trying to get like you one day.
It's a lot to get to. You were here last year, great repeat guest. Kim Gorby asked me what coaches have been on this year, and I said only the greats: Mike Tomlin, Matt LaFleur, John Harbaugh, Mario Cristobal. That's it. That's the big four, in my opinion. You're doing an incredible job, and I want to talk about the development part of it because you're in year four right now. And one thing I'm obsessed with, Mario, is how teams turn around. And I talk a lot about Bill Parcells, who's a turnaround artist, and obviously, he everywhere he went, winning happened afterwards. But you're right on track in year four. And I want to get into the trenches and the individual players and all this stuff. But in general, if a younger coach comes to you and says, how do you change a culture? How do you turn something around on the right timeline? What do you tell them, Mario?
Well, the first thing is assess exactly what the starting point is, because they're all so different, man. It's like I was talking about this the other day when we arrived at FIU, that looked like an atomic explosion had taken place, and you had to start from ground zero, and you get to Oregon, and it's 4-8, and it was like a really sharp decline, but there was one or couple of pieces, and you could do things. This one was as bad as we've been around in terms of the roster itself and the culture. And so what I would tell them is, man, get a good pair of earmuffs, okay? Grit your teeth, be ready and be willing to get your teeth kicked in to do it the right way. Because if you do and you get everything out the way and you align yourself with some hard-nosed, tough people that work their butts off, you're gonna be able to get it how you want it. And we're starting to see a lot of those things. We started to see it last year. It was
Mhm.
trending, but now we're starting to see those young guys that we recruited who are now in their third year, true juniors. We're starting to
Mhm.
see those guys take off. So I don't know. Hopefully that's helpful advice, but I don't know. That's what we do.
Yeah, no, the FIU thing makes me laugh. Bruce Feldman has told the story before about, I think, going to lunch with you near campus at FIU, and you saw like a big guy, maybe 6'4", and you just went up to him and said, "Are you a student here? Like, we might need a body." Like, it was that kind of thing where you're scrambling, and then obviously you guys were able to get players like T.Y. Hilton and Anthony Gator, and all of a sudden you're making a bowl. So it's really that's the kind of rebuild that college football is all about.
Amen, brother. You just got to be willing to take the hits, and just got to keep grinding, man. You just got to go. And at the end of the day, right? Every really good coach has really good players. Let's
Yeah.
not ever get that confused. And if your roster, the one you're like flying into Miami and watching the team on the iPad, my family was excited. And as I'm watching more and more film, that feeling in your gut, like, holy crap, like, buckle up, brother. We feel very encouraged and about the progress, but brother, we got a long ways to go.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about the trenches here. So, looking at, you mentioned the guys who are true juniors now.
Mhm.
They're in line for at least heavy discussion about awards. Ruben Bain, obviously going to be in the mix for Nagurski Trophy, for, I mean, like, not me saying it, Steve Palazzolo, one of the best analytics minds, formerly of Pro Football Focus, said maybe he should be in the mix for the Heisman. We'll see how that looks. You talk about the best pass rush win rate in the country, and then Francis Mauigoa, obviously going to be a candidate for the Outland Trophy. Take me through how you attack the trenches. Obviously, you mentioned the good players part of it. When you're scouting for the trenches, what are you exactly looking for, Mario?
There's so many things that are tied into it, but obviously they have to have the ability, and by that I mean big, powerful, athletic guys that can flat out run, that play with toughness and physicality, that are callous. They just go. Guys that play through, injuries, guys that can think, the guys that can lead, guys that respond and that are trained to have a really strong competitive response, that have size and growth potential, but intelligence is also at the forefront. Like these guys, this is the best part about those two guys you just mentioned. They know that for them to reach their potential, they have to go good on good every single day.
Yeah.
So if we're on one-on-one pass pro or two-on-two, they're trying to find each other like, hey man, get your butt over here. Let's go. We got to roll. And if we go to team pass, they're fighting to get reps. Like they run into the fight. Have to also ingrain that in the guys. You gotta go straight alpha across the board, knowing that they're gonna have some of this, and that's all right. That's good for everybody, right? That uncomfortable, uneasy feeling of knowing you better be at your best or someone's going to whoop your butt.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I talked to Penei Sewell in August, and he was saying the same thing about Aiden Hutchinson. They want to go against each other. They don't want to. They're not going to hide. They want to go against each other, and that's a mentality thing where hey, this might suck on August 3rd, but it's going to end up working out.
No doubt. And that was Panay against Kayvon Thibodeau when we were
Yeah.
out west. That is when I was a GA, or that was Bryant McKinney and Jerome McDougal trying to just knock each other's heads off. And now you see in the form of these guys, you see it in the form of Akeem Mesidor.
Yeah.
He hasn't got enough attention, and that's okay. Honestly, those two guys, a lot like our quarterback, they couldn't care less about that.
Yeah.
They know the key to all that is working your butt off and playing at a high level.
I asked you last year when scouts come to talk about Cam Ward, what you're gonna tell them. Bain is a junior, so we'll get the Diego Pavia lawyers in to get him 7 more years of eligibility and all that stuff. But when the time comes, 10 years from now, whenever Ruben Bain does go to the NFL, whenever the scouts come to you and say, "Tell me about Ruben Bain," who I mean, I just saw Matt Miller say it today, the most dominant draft eligible prospect he's seen in the entire country this year. Jordan Reed said it last week as well. We just saw. I mean, I think you mentioned Mesidor and Bain. I think they combined for 19 pressures on Saturday night against Florida. They had PFF had Florida having the worst pass blocking grade in the history of their service, 2.3, which by the way, I believe it's out of 100, okay? 2.3. But when a scout comes to you and says, "Tell me about Ruben Bain," what do you tell them?
Well, I think you hit on most of the physical attributes, throughout what we were speaking about earlier. I would say he's even a better person. I would say he's even a harder worker. And I would say his football IQ, a lot like when we spoke about Cam last year, is through the roof. His sense, his feel for the game, his film study habits allow him to see things before they happen. So it lets him play twice as fast. But he loves the physicality of the game. He throws his body around recklessly, and he's got some of the heaviest hands you will ever see. People don't realize he's 275 pounds and he runs like he's 225 pounds. So, and he does not, you have to yank him out of the game. He will not come out. You're like, we literally have to send Jason Taylor over to yank him out, and that's a struggle.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, listen, the whole team's just sort of looking a certain way right now, and it's fascinating to just see that it'll develop. But you mentioned to me, and no one's ever going to be Aaron Donald. They're not even similar players in that regard. But I remember Jeff Fisher one time saying that the brilliance of Aaron Donald is he knows when winning time is, and he will set up a move for 58 minutes to use in the last 2 minutes to actually just win the game and say, "This game's over. I'm calling game." And with me, I'm looking at Notre Dame, I'm looking at Florida, and I see both of those guys, particularly Bain, say, "All right, it's winning time. I'm going to use my bend. I'm going to get under here. I'm going to end this game." I've really never seen a college player like it who, on the defensive side, is calling game against two high-profile opponents.
Yeah, I mean, in college football, I guess in any kind of football, you have to be able to rush the passer in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter to close out games. I just, man, he's got the menu of his pass rush moves is pretty vast. And he gets everything. He gets chip block, right? He gets the tight end staying in. He has the protection slid to him all the time. So we move him around a bunch I mean, he's not always going to get a one-on-one, but
Hmm.
uh, he does a good job splitting double teams too. So yeah, it's something having those two guys and the young guys that are coming around like
Yeah.
Lightfoot, Mesidor, the guy's playing really, really good football. And all these guys have a long way to go. But Ahmad Moten, it's just like Ruben Bain has really, in my opinion, separated himself as one of the best, if not the best player in the country.
Yeah, offensive line wise, I mean, I think Alex Mirabal, who's probably the best offensive line coach in the country, said this. I think he said he'll cut off his limbs before Miami has a weakness at offensive line. But you're looking at it now, probably the best unit in the country. We talked a little bit about building those trenches, but right now, when you see it against Florida, when you see it against Notre Dame, when you see it in ACC play in a little bit, how does it just make you feel that you're in year four and your vision for the line is pretty much exactly where it needs to be?
No, it's steady progress.
Yeah.
These guys want to be the very best at the end of the year when all games have been completed, when all games we're done playing. And what we see a group that is extremely cohesive due to an extraordinary amount of time spent together. They don't take vacation. Like even on spring break, like They seek out, some of the guys, some of the gurus of O-line play to get extra work. They're always doing something that related towards their craft. And you know what I loved, what I saw this past week on both sides of the ball, guys are finding ways to play through when they're nicked up, when they're banged up to the
Yeah.
point where, others may bow out. They're just rolling. So again, we've come miles, but I got to be honest with you, we got a long way to go. Just watching the film right now, we left 2 dozen opportunities out there that could have really created separation in that game. So with the bye week, we're going to get healthy, but we got to get to technique, to fundamentals, schematic changes, development of some of the younger guys. We got a lot of work to do, man.
All right, let's do some rapid fire. Justin Herbert's 3-0. That's starting to look a certain way with the Chargers. Now, you knew at some point there was going to have the team breakout because Jim Harbaugh is a really good coach. There's some surrounding talent there that's really thriving. Tell me something I don't know about Justin Herbert, having coached him, having had success with him at Oregon. Take me through Justin Herbert, the quarterback, or the person.
As a person, absolutely elite. He thinks he's a great fisherman. He's very average at fishing. He was president of the fishing club in high school, but man, as I think he had one B plus in his entire time at Oregon, and I kind of messed with him about it one time. He didn't speak to me for a week. He's a perfection. He's an absolute perfectionist. He can run like the wind, which has been exhibited right
Yeah.
in the NFL. But the absolute most insane specimen of a quarterback, elite family, elite human being, man. Can't say enough great things about him. Humble as can be, also.
Yeah, no, I think at some point he's going to break through and get close to holding a Lombardi very, very soon, in my opinion, because I just think he's an amazing quarterback who just needed a culture around him that was on par with the way he is, and
He
Coach
loves
Harbaugh
to
talks
run
about it a
people
lot.
over, by the way. He loves running people over. He loves tucking the ball away, quarterback counter, quarterback power. Don't let him fool you. It was a struggle we wanted to keep him upright, until we got towards, playoff football towards the end of the year. So he was always honest about running him more, but we finally broke him loose in the Rose Bowl. He runs for 3 touchdowns.
There we go. You mentioned on game day with Coach Saban, who obviously you worked under about the rat poison thing and keeping focus. And I believe Coach Saban has said results are a distraction. The scoreboard is a distraction. You just go for one play at a time. It was famously, he's talked about it in one of the documentaries, famously before Michigan State played Ohio State probably 30 years ago. They just decided we're no longer looking at the scoreboard. We're just looking one play at a time, doing your job. And obviously, Nick Saban's able to build the greatest modern college football program we'd ever seen for what 15 years. I'm curious now. You mentioned it with Coach Saban on set in Coral Gables, but I'm curious now the lessons that he taught you about that, about tunnel vision, about rat poison, how you're able to apply that to having the number two team in the country.
Well, I mean, you go right to the film, and the reality of it, the film has so many things you could point out where, man, we're not even close to what we want. For us to accomplish what we really want to accomplish and not just be popular in September, it requires us to get a lot better at a lot of things, regarding the game or whatnot. And one of the best ways to do that, Tuesday and Wednesday practices have to be off the charts, demanding, challenging, and physical. Those things they have to translate to performance on Saturday. And the only way to make that a reality, you got to get after everybody's butt on Tuesday or Wednesday. And they have to take ownership of that. And they have. And you know what? There's so many examples and some of them Miami, of getting a little bit caught up in the noise
Yeah.
and the excitement and all that stuff and getting punched right in the teeth and it not working out. So you just hammer away at that and you have to be on edge on everybody in the organization to make sure no one falls into that complacency mode.
Does it drive you nuts? Might be the wrong term, but everybody wants everybody around the program to say the U is back, and that to me is offensive to what the Miami was, right? Like for me, we beat a 1-3 Florida. Okay, that's not what Miami was. Miami was winning every single game for nearly a decade, right? Winning 58 straight games at home. To you, when people ask you, "Is Miami back?" or "When is Miami back?" What do you even say to that? Especially now when it's again looking a certain way.
Yeah, I'm like you. I think that statement is like here's what happened back during that time. Miami was so damn good and also, irritated a lot of people with style of play and whatnot, that it was like a special place in time that is like ingrained in everybody's head and the memories of some really dominant play with some arrogant moments, right? And some, I mean, but some really physical, high level play of some, they were characters. I mean, those guys are iconic in so many ways. So, I mean, it's nostalgia theater, right? In this country now, that everybody wants back, back, back. Well, we don't want to go back. We want to go forward. We want to take the principles and values of
Mhm.
that brand of football, but we want to take it forward. And I think the guys that play here, they want that too, because our guys are coming back to practice, are coming back
Yeah.
to games. They're getting around our players. They're providing awesome mentorship. And all they taught them about is moving forward, and taking it to modern day football. And that resonates with our guys want to make those guys proud. They want to play like them, but we don't want to go in a time capsule and go backwards, brother. We want to go straight ahead and we want to make it happen now.
That's a beautiful answer for that one. All right. Last year, you told the story about sending a GA to get Penny Sewell to put on a duck helmet head to get Penny Sewell. Wide open. You have the floor. What is the craziest thing you've done to get a recruit in that vein? Just going out and saying, I'm gonna either embarrass myself, embarrass somebody else. I'm just gonna go to the mat here and land somebody.
Yeah, I don't believe in the embarrass, like, putting like ourselves out in that
Right.
position because if I was a player, if I was good enough to be recruited like that, I never was. But if I was, and a coach did that, like I could never look at the guy the same. I'm just like, dude, really? Like I'm supposed to listen to you, coach me, and get after me now after you did that? I don't believe in it. Actually, what we do, the best way we recruit is we make sure that they come here and watch us coach and watch us practice and watch
Mm.
us play. So they can see it's like, oh, okay, this this dude's he's gonna be on me hard. He's gonna push me. He's gonna challenge me in the right way, but he's gonna provide like top level, top shelf leadership and mentorship and guidance. So we're persistent, we're relentless, but we stay very real. We don't go on the goofy side.
Last thing for you, we do badasses. Last time you gave us Sean Taylor and then one of your coaches from Columbus. On this team, on this current team, if you were to highlight a badass on the 2025 Miami Hurricanes, where are you going?
I would have to wait till the end of the year. I don't think you could label a badass games 1 through 4. I think that's an injustice to football. It's a lack of respect to the game itself that we all love so much, right? I mean, we're in the first part of the season, middle of September, going to October. Let's get better. Let's go find out. Let's go find out who are the guys that actually legitimately step up and step through and help make us become a better football program.
ACC play starts in 2 weeks against Florida State. Is it Florida State mode yet, or is it bye week mode?
It's both. It's both. You have to acknowledge that you have to get ahead on opponents. You have to, because it evaporates. You also have to get healthy. You have to assess. One thing that really sticks out during this time of year is, football, like media right now, is they're so intrusive.
Hmm.
Like, you watch a TV copy and half your signals end up on
Yeah.
the TV set. So you got to go back. You got to change all those things. You got to self-scout. You start realizing, man, we've got to kind of formationally change it up a little bit as it relates to our run-pass ratio. You could take such a deep dive into that and develop a lot of players that are right on the fringe, maybe about to be a full-time guy or a
Hmm.
rotation guy. You get ahead on academics, you get ahead on community service, let those guys, and then you also get around your players, man. You go out to eat, you go to the pool over here right down the road where our guy jumped off the 10-meter board the other day. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff during this
How
time.
how can you rate that form real quick? Pat McAfee's form jumping off the Miami high dive in the middle of campus there in beautiful Coral Gables. That was pretty good, man.
It takes a lot of courage to get. You don't realize how high that is until you get up there.
Yeah.
That was kind of back in the day. It was freshman initiation. You're not allowed to do that nowadays, but it is quite it's guy did a heck of a job. He really did.
Mario Cristobal, thank you so much, buddy.
I appreciate your time, man. Go Canes, brother.